years, the volume of heroin shipped from Afghanistan along a network of maritime routes in East and Southern Africa has reached record levels. Most of this heroin is destined for Western markets, but there's a spin-off trade for local market and consumption. East Africa is now experiencing the sharpest increase in heroin use, and a spectrum of criminal networks, cross-border trade, and political elites in Africa are sustained in this trade. The political governments are somehow facilitating this trade, knowingly or unknowingly. Political systems across the region show signs of having been significantly captured for criminal ends. Heroin use is growing, while public health systems are generally struggling to respond to it with the unavailable or limited resources. The side effects of this trade is damaging to democracy, to the society, and economic development. Furthermore, in communities where there is widespread use, there's growing number of HIV infections, sexually transmitted diseases, opioid babies, and hepatitis C infection. These communities are wrecked by violence and criminalization, ending up in poorly managed, underfunded, crowded prisons across the region. This is denying Africa its workforce and economy. According to current reports, pupils as young as 8 years old are already consuming heroin, and some of their trusted handlers are guilty for directly introducing them to the substance. In some cases, these children easily access drugs from shops, bars near their schools, and in the absence, the matatu tout, the taxi driver, the kiosk vendor, and the chemist have become conduits in the drug business. Heroin overdose is now a local issue in East Africa. Such deaths are not reported, and the authorities do not care or record because drug use is still illegal. Drug policies in East Africa are based on the criminal justice approach. This is a serious obstacle to healthcare access and has resulted in millions of people in prison, jailed, or murdered. The same policies have proved resistant to implementation of harm reduction principles as a method of treating heroin addiction because of the use of synthetic opioid for therapy. Culture and religious principles highly held by leaders have only helped to make the situation worse. This has contributed further to high level of stigma, discrimination, creating barriers to access to healthcare. East Africa needs to move away from its euphoria of drug-free world, embrace alternative sentencing and harm reduction principles to support the youth and people already caught in the addiction web. If we cannot control the demand of drugs, then there will be little hope of preventing foreign drug producers from fulfilling that demand. We will not get anywhere if we place a heavier burden of action on families and people and schools rather than on the executive and the legislator, who hold the key to directing these countries to the right path. Decriminalizing drug possession appears to have impact on levels of drug use elsewhere in the world. However, its principal impacts are reducing arrests of drug users and decongesting the prisons, especially those who are young and are members of minority groups or women, reducing opportunity for low-level police corruption, allowing police to focus on more serious crime, reducing criminal justice system costs, and better enabling individuals, families, communities, and local governments to deal with addiction as a health-related rather than criminal issue. As an example, Portugal, who completed its policy of decriminalization by allocating greater resources across the drugs field, expanding and improving prevention, treatment, harm reduction, and social integration program, is the way to go. The abuse, illicit cultivation, and production and manufacture of narcotic drugs, as well as the illicit trafficking, have reached record levels in East Africa, and the illicit demand for domestic diversion of precursor chemicals are on the rise. It is time to end the drug war. It is time East Africa to change its policies.